Solo Leveling Ragnarok, Chapter 1. These omnipotent beings who have created countless universes since ancient times are called absolute beings through endless creation. These absolute beings sought and indulged in eternity. And during that process, they created countless matter, souls, and laws. However, these absolute beings, bored from endless repetition, came up with one way to enjoy the passage of time. It was observing war between their creations. The absolute beings found it rather entertaining to destroy their creations. Though countless creations repeated the never-ending process of dying in battle through this war, it was necessary to sate the absolute beings. However, an incident occurred. An absolute being was killed by one of their creations while observing the endless battle. The absolute beings of the other dimensions, learning of this, gathered in one place to observe the world that had lost its master. The death of their comrade, caused by a creation they themselves had created. Despite this, the absolute beings ignored this fact completely. They all shared one thought. A power with no owner will belong to whoever can claim it the first. So, this way. A new story of solo leveling, Ragnarok, begins. I got accepted to Korea University of Arts. Other boys in shock. No way. How could someone as unsophisticated as Suho make it into an art college? Other one says laughingly. Suho says, "Ha ha ha. I'm finally free from this hell." Then suddenly, a boy comes and says, "Congratulations, Sung Suho. I heard you got into art college. I never knew you were so talented." "Since when were you so good?" Suho says. "Kim Seong-cheol, you again?" The boy, angrily, "My name isn't Kim Seong-cheol, it's Lee Yoon-cheol." Suho says, "Ah, is that so?" The arrogant boy says, "Thanks to you. My plan to take over the school failed completely." Then Suho says, "Yeah, and I was able to graduate, thanks to you." One of the girls says, "Yooncheol's starting shit again. We're about to graduate. Why is he still acting like such a kid?" The other girl present there says, "As if I really know the answer to that?" Suho thinks, why does he have to be so mean to someone who's trying to live like a happy life after his parents went missing? Then suddenly, Lee Yoon-cheol tries to launch a punch at Suho, calling Suho's name, but to his surprise, Suho jumps up in the air and smashes Lee's face with his knee before him, letting his punch reach his face, and says, "Why can't we just chill out before the—" As Suho was about to finish his sentence, he notices the Lee's face having a smirk. Then Lee Yoon-cheol says, "What the hell?" He clenches his fist and supercharges his right hand with an aura saying, "It doesn't hurt at all," launches a dominating attack with all his might, which Suho dodges with shocking expressions on his face. Suho gets frightened. Even Suho's classmates are amazed by raw power of the punch released by Lee Yoon-cheol, leaving a big hole on one of the lockers out there. Lee Yoon-cheol, worried himself, looks at his fist as Suho sits there frightened. 2 years later, Sung Suho, sophomore in college, walks randomly. He notices a person announcing, "All of the classes in the main building have been moved to the side building. Please move to side building. Hunters are currently raiding the gate. Everyone, you must not come any closer." The person asks to a nearby worker about the time since hunters were sent in. The worker replies, "A bit over 8 hours," revealing as it's a D-rank gate, they should be coming out soon, as people curious and worried if hunters will really be able to clear it or not. In the meantime, Sung Suho notices another gate. The entire world changed massively 3 years ago. With the birth of the gates, gates are a passageway into a dungeon, in which the monsters within escape and run rampant after a certain amount of time passes. Still, humans beings to change as well, almost as if we were meant to face them. Superhumans capable of wielding mana called Awakeners began to be born as well. This chaos, which everyone believed would lasting a time with the constantly changing world, concluded quickly after an Awakener named Woo Jinchul created the Hunters Association, gathering them all under a single banner with the title of Hunter. Now, the world is split between the awakened hunters and unawakened civilians. Whilst some people need to work as hard as an ant to gain wealth, some people have it handed to them for nothing. This distinction makes those same ants sorely realize their limits. No matter how hard an unawakened tries, they never be able to close the gap between them and an E-rank awakener. The world will come to an end if the hunters don't close the gates. In other words, while the unawakened can't survive without awakeners, the awakeners can live fine without them. That is why everyone is thankful to hunters. After all, aren't they the reason an unawakened like me can live in place? But a worry began to grow in the corner of my heart. Am I just slowly growing accustomed to not having things? My missing parents, my survival which relies on others, even those times where I felt like I could do anything. After having everything taken from me, a sense of helplessness filled the hole in my heart. Suho thinks deeper. He thinks my mother used to always tell me that I was becoming like my father quite well. So how would he have escaped this feeling of helplessness? While he was thinking deeper and deeper, someone calls out his name. Suho? He turns around, asking if the guy called him needs anything. The boy who reached him makes a compliment and says, "You're concentrated nicely today. What are you having so much fun drawing?" Suho says, "Ah, I was just drawing whatever came to mind." Then the boy asks, "Were you drawing an ant? It's quite inventive for an ant." Well, maybe it might be more appropriate to call it an ant person. Suho looks at his drawing and says, "Why did I even draw this?" On the other hand, hunters started to come out of the gate, people estimating their success by their relaxed looks. One of the worker appreciates Hunter Kim Jong-soo for great work. Kim Jong-soo says, "Raid went successful," and he says he has something to report to the Hunters Association. He reveals that they've encountered a new type of monster. They were humanoid monsters with blue flames spouting from their eyes and mouths. They attacked with their claws and fangs. However, their attacks weren't powerful at all. Since I'm still fine after getting scratched by their attacks, there isn't much to them, but they are still definitely monsters that we haven't seen in the time since the birth of the gates. I'm happy to hear that they are not too dangerous. As member of association was about to ask to submit a report about what happened during this raid. Light started emitting from one of the scars on Kim's body. He feels something very bad, going unconscious. As the member of association calls for Kim Jong-soo, Kim turns into a monster, trying to attack. To attack that member, opening his mouth wide open, revealing his sharp and monstrous roar. Girls nearby notice the event and get shocked by this tragedy. The person notices the blue flames and recall that they are just like the monster in the dungeon. People start running away from that place. All the hunters started turning into monsters. Meanwhile, in a building, Suho, busy drawing, notices people gathering at the window to see what's the noise about. He reaches the window, only to his shock. He confusingly asks himself, are they fighting each other? The Suho's friend notices the blue eyes. He identifies them as monsters. A girl standing beside Suho says if it's really a dungeon break. As they are thinking what to do, one of the persons standing there asks Ta Lim to do something as he's an awakener, but he denies it, saying that he is just an E rank. Suho notices a threat. One of the monsters notice that building and leaps up to that window. Suho shouts to run away, but that monster comes flying into the building, breaking it badly. The monster roars at the people present there, only to their shock. Suho calls everyone to run away, but while running, he notices a nearby girl unable to get up. She asks for help, but Suho runs away saying, "I'll call a hunter." He curses himself to say that he realizes that he just left her to her death. He thinks that he's unawakened, so that's the only thing he can do. Then he curses himself again and thinks nothing will change if he won't do anything and just kept making excuses. He thinks that he's to find something he can do, anything. He thinks deeper, asking his dad what he would do. He suddenly stops, turns around, looks at the monster. Girl still crying for help. Monster prepares himself to attack. He leaps up to attack the girl. Closing the distance, Suho makes his entry and launches a powerful attack on the monster, thinking if it was Dad, then he'd definitely done it. Please do let me know in the comments if you'd like me to produce Chapter 2 for solo leveling Ragnarok.